Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, we're coming to you here with the Chris Voss Show with another wonderful guest. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button so you can support the channel. Also, we're on Patreon at patreon.com/Chris Voss. You can join over there, and in getting in the community for the channel, you can actually enter our private Facebook group so you can win some of the products review on the Chris Voss Show. We're also on Periscope right now and Facebook Live of the Chris Voss Show Facebook channel, so be sure to subscribe to those channels as well. We're being brought to you by, I guess we've been friends for a long time. Her name is JoAnne Kao, and she lives in New York City. She's a real estate agent out there. How you doing, JoAnne?
I'm doing well. How are you, Chris?
Good. Welcome to the show. And JoAnne, you've got quite an interesting pedigree, resume, if you will. I Googled you and you came up with Sotheby's International Realty. Whoa.
Yes.
I'm not sure. You might be too high class to be on the Chris Voss Show, maybe.
No, not at all. We deal with everybody. And
so you're a licensed real estate expert in New York City. You just got done showing me before we started the broadcast. You're in Union Square, Flatiron area there. We know of
yes.
One of the guys we've been friends with, Mr. Fred Wilson of Union Square
yes.
Partners is out there. 2009 exchanged a few emails about how to fix Twitter, and he thought they were great ideas. Evidently, Twitter and Jack and stuff did not, because they're still suffering from what they could have fixed a long time ago. But that's another story. So tell us more about you, your background, what's brought you to this point in time, and your history, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Oh, plugs. Could you give some plugs too so people can look you up and follow you while you're giving a rundown?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Well, I will start with my history. I originally started in media publishing, and I spent approximately 15 years in the publishing industry for B2B in the financial services, selling advertising and media campaigns. I helped companies build their digital and print presence through different types of advertising initiatives. I did that for about 15, close to 16 years. Then I got to a point where I wanted to do something else with my life, and at the same time use all of my skills and things that I enjoyed. I always loved New York City. I moved to New York in 1989 when I started college, and I've always loved it. It's exciting. It's always ever changing. The buildings are so diverse. Buildings, people, everything. It's so diverse. It's a phenomenal place, and I want to be a part of it. And I also need to work for many more years. And real estate, I've always thought about it, and now I just thought, why not try it? So I tried. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. It's hard. It's hard. It's exciting. It's demoralizing, but at the same time, I love it. You're building your own business, and you're trying something new. What I love about it is every day is different, and you have to do something, that's outside of the box, yet at the same time use the skills that you have learned in a more traditional business to, kind of have some discipline and get all of the administrative stuff done.
I was a real estate agent for about 6 years on a mortgage company for almost 20. And so I know how tough that business is to be in. There's a lot of details, a lot of paperwork, a lot of regulation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that in New York City, you guys probably have an incredible amount of paperwork and regulation with all the stuff you have to deal with there.
Yes. Yeah. There's a ton. I mean, it's just, and there's also competition. There are 40,000 real estate agents in New York. It's insane. Yeah. And every year, 90% of the new agents quit because it's just so hard. And also, you're an independent agent, so you're not making a salary. Whatever you go out there to try to rent or to try to sell, you know, that's all the money you have. People think that, you know, everything is what they see on TV, right? Like $1 million listing. It's really not like that. What's fun about New York is there are so many different types of purchases and rentals. You have, you know, investment properties, you have pied-à-terres, you have first apartments, second apartments, third apartments, the differences between co-ops and condos. I mean, there are so much. And to your point, the paperwork and the intricacies, that I think is what's going to be tougher when it comes to the digital realm, you know, replacing brokers in an area such as New York, you know, like with Zillows or Street Easy or something like that, because you still need a human being who understands the nuances.
Yeah, you've got to have somebody that, I mean, it's basically a degree, almost like a college degree. I mean, between the hours of schooling you have to go to just to get your license, the annual upkeep of licenses and the new schooling. Right. I think it's what, isn't it every year you have to go, or every 2 years you have to go re-up, and then you constantly have to learn I mean, it's a very hard business, and it's owning your own business. It's entrepreneurial. People, it's very mean competitively, very cutthroat. Yeah. And it was a tough business to be in. In fact, the time that we got into being realtors because we own a mortgage company. Mm-hmm. And we kept dealing with sometimes people that wouldn't make sure to take care of our business. And so finally we just said, we're just going to do it so our loan officer's business will get taken care of. And but it was hard at one point. I mean, I think we did it at the height of the recession, I think in 1997, 2001, something, where rates were like 8 and 9%, soared to 8 and 9%. Uh-huh. And wow, it was really hard to sell anything at those interest rates. It was crazy.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's a slog. It's a slog. You have your highs and your lows, and yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but the great thing about being an entrepreneur, and this is what a lot of people don't get, is it will bring out the best in you, and it's self-actualization that trial by fire. Yes. You will either live or die, and you find a way to live and fight through every day, and it's just that constant battle. And the thing about real estate too is, unless you maybe go into rental properties, you don't really have the same sort of clientele. You sell a home, you might hear from them like years later if you're lucky, right. Exactly. When they buy their next one or the secondary one, but for the most part, as soon as you close a deal, you got to go scrounge for your next meal. Yep. I've always been lucky where most of the business we've gone into have been fairly repetitive clients, monthly clients that, you know, they pay the bills every month. They're there, subscription sort of based stuff. But the real estate can be pretty tough. Yeah, it can, and it can turn on a dime. You can have somebody that is, you know, pretty excited about buying an apartment, and they're financially qualified, they want to buy it, the whole thing, and then you go into the condo and you find out that the building is actually under litigation. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but then the buyer is turned off. And, you know, the buyer all of a sudden, you know, is not just turned off, but emotionally they have put so much into it that they're just kind of like, oh no. And then it takes months to recover, or maybe not. Yeah. You know? So look, I know you've managed social media. You've used your expertise in the background to talk and I think teach or manage social media clients. Tell us about what you've done in that and what's worked for you. Okay. Well, with social media, I mean, it's so exciting and I love it. It's the great equalizer because it gives anybody the opportunity to brand themselves, to put their message out there, and basically to sell themselves
It really is a way for anybody to succeed in business now. And honestly, if you're not reachable digitally, I don't know how you're going to conduct business, now or going forward in whatever business you are in. Some are slower than others. Certainly real estate is not cutting edge in some of their practices. But if you look at all of our customers, all our customers are online. What are we doing at midnight? We're in bed, we're scrolling through our phones, right? And so where do you want to be? Where do I want to be? I want to be where they're searching. And that's what I'm trying to do. I did that with, and I'm growing it organically. And I'm also, I haven't really bought that many ads through Facebook, although I will say that I have been successful doing that. It's just that I'm a one-person shop, so there is a budget to consider. But, through Facebook, and also I do videos on YouTube, which I also do on Facebook. I actually had somebody contact me last week. I've been putting out videos every 2 weeks since January about, things in real estate, such as, should you rent versus buying? What's what's a 1031, which is an investment thing? How do you buy a pied-à-terre in New York City? Why would you want to buy under an LLC? Just stuff like that. I got a phone call from a woman out in Queens, and she said, you know what? I searched for 421A, which is a tax abatement. She said, and your face came up. And so I wanted to call you, and can you help me?
Wow.
Yeah.
You never know where business is going to come from. I mean, I've just being social media, I've had businesses come at me. And sometimes it's people or business, friends that I've had for a long time. Sometimes it's people, I remember having one guy, he said to me, I've watched your stupid tweets for a whole year, Chris, and thought you were an idiot. But I stayed following you and I watched all your stupid stuff you say. He goes, and so finally, I want you to know, after 1 year, I finally clicked on your stupid Chris Voss Show link and said, after 1 year, what is this idiot talking about? He clicks on my link. He goes, I'm your biggest fan now.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I love everything you do. I love the Chris Voss Show. I'm your fan. And I want you to know that it took you a year to convert me and probably 50 million tweets, but I converted and now I'm a fan. You just never know.
Exactly. And it's not the people who respond all the time. It's actually people that they may follow you, but you may not know about. And such as you, I followed you for such a long time. And, I don't comment that much, but I've known about you for a very long time. And I've always looked up to you as, a social media influencer, leader, and everything. Chris?
Hi, JoAnne. How you doing?
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
Hello.
Hopefully this is showing up on my YouTube. It let me rejoin. So hopefully it stays on my account with the feed. And what I'll do is I'm able to download it and just re-splice it.
Okay.
So if it saves on your YouTube, I may have to do the thing. But it was able to let me rejoin. I had to restart my machine, though. So we had my apologies for the technical difficulties of a crash. Hey, Google, turn on all my lights. So sorry to cut you off there.
Sure, turn 5 lights on.
Go ahead and tell us about where we were at, if you can possibly remember.
Oh, I was complimenting you, and yeah,
Sure, I missed that.
yes. I was talking about social media influencers and how a lot of the people who follow, to your point about that guy who read your tweets and finally looked you up. A lot of times people who follow you, you don't even know that they're following you, but they actually read what you're writing. They listen to what you're saying. And then I was saying myself as an example, I've been following you for a very long time. And I think, we've been friends for about a year, but I think I've followed you for much longer than that. And I don't comment that much, but I've seen what you do on social media and learned from you as an influencer and a leader. And that's what I love about social media. I've met so many people. You're in Vegas. Back in the days, I mean, how else would we have ever met each other?
Probably never.
Right.
Note to self, JoAnne Kao is one of my lurkers.
Yes.
Sorry, make a note there. Speaking of note.
Yeah, I mean, it's
never comments. She's a lurker. All right. There we go. Note to myself there, disregarding any that. No, my lurkers. People that follow me. I wouldn't feel wanted and needed in life if it wasn't for my lurkers. So there's that.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, I think business these days does, it has changed. And certainly for real estate or anything else, the more they see you there, the more they'll remember you. They may not need me now, but the more videos that I do, the more posts that I do on Instagram, I've actually had a lot of brokers who have come up to me say, I really love your pictures. I love the history you put behind it and the way you have your pictures, blah, 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 the whole thing. And it's very nice because I think it comes down to quality. And it comes down to consistency and just getting your message out there. And with that said, it's a slog. It's hard and it's slow. And I remember I lurk Gary Vaynerchuk too. And, and he says, and he said, what did he say? He said, I'm like the 10-year success. It took me 10 years or maybe 15 years or something like that. And that, he said, I remember when I had 10 followers, right? Now he has like 1 million, but who I don't know how many followers, but it's just, it does take time. And that's where it becomes tough. And you have to really love it. You really do.
Note to Gary Vaynerchuk, JoAnne Kao is a lurker. Right. I think we're ruining your reputation as a lurker. You have to add that to your LinkedIn profile. Real estate agent, New York City, lurker. No, I'm just kidding. and most people do lurk, so there's nothing wrong with it. Most people just go, there's that shit show, Chris Voss coming again. I don't know what to say. He's like a car wreck just happening every day. He's almost presidential in that way. Not sure what that means. But, you bring a good point to it. And this is one of the challenges I have with clients. Clients will come to me and they go, hey, Chris Voss, I want you to make me and my brand, my business, a social media rock star, just like you. Here's a pile of money. Can we get that done by the end of this month? And you're like, you don't understand. It takes time to build these. Anything that's complex, anything that's worthy of building an audience and building a community takes time and effort. And it's just like your business. You didn't just do it overnight and suddenly you're a multi-millionaire company. It takes time and daily work and application. And I've actually had companies that have said, they'll be using us for a while. And then all of a sudden something will go wrong with their website where people can't sign up to their website. And they're like, well, you know what? We don't want to build all the accounts because, no one can access our website. Well, shouldn't we build the Twitter, social media, and your other communities that will support the website ultimately when it goes? Well, we really don't want to spend money on it until whatever. You cannot wait until the moment you need an audience or you need a community to follow your brand to start building it or to expect it to be built. You've got to build it now. For me, when I first got onto Twitter, it was late 2008. There was a lot of buzz going on. I think Oprah had just barely started talking about it. I think that's how I noticed it. But I was like, why is this Twitter everyone's talking about? And the first year or so, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Some stuff started to gel, but I wasn't sure if I really wanted to be doing it for the next billion years or if it would be around. But I knew one thing. I needed to build an audience. I needed to put out content, build an audience, and where I wasn't sure where I was going to go, I knew that I needed that audience. So I needed to have eyeballs. And I'm a salesperson by nature. All my life, I've always been a salesperson. I've known one thing. You've got to have that huge base where you can be able to market stuff to, the impression rates and everything else. And so I started building my audience, even unsure what I wanted to do. In fact, the Chris Voss Show is named the Chris Voss Show because I didn't want to name it like the Chris Voss Social Show or the Social Media Show or the Chris Voss Facebook Show. God forbid I should have named it the Chris Voss Google Plus channel, the Chris Voss Bebo channel. And so I really wanted to make it where I had a vehicle that was wide open, but I knew one thing: I needed an audience. And nowadays I know that I need two things: I need an audience and I need a community for that audience to engage my brand. So yeah, it's just amazing to me how many people wait and then they think it's deliverable overnight, that suddenly you can be social media brand rock star overnight. And I'm like, it's taken me years to get here. Yeah. And just like Gary, I can remember when I had 0 followers on my accounts and no one really cared. They're like, who's this idiot? But,
I'm there.
Yeah. And you have to, well, I didn't mean to agree with you that you're there. You have a pretty good audience. But you have to build it and take it from ground zero. And not everyone's going to like you at first. Fortunately, when people hire people like you or I, we can help them skip over through some of the pitfalls and kind of enact some of the real tricks of the trade so that they can, advance faster and quicker. But even then, I don't know if you ever had a client say to you, but I've had a client say to me, I want to go viral. I'm like, number one, with your budget, you're not going to go viral. Right. And number two, really a lot of viral stuff is purely miraculous unless you're a, Fortune 500 company with endless amounts of pockets to hire the ad companies, writers, and media and video, and even then, I don't think you're fully getting return on investment. Although some people do. I think some people that do go viral do get a return on investment. Sometimes it's just building brand awareness and loyalty and just making everybody keeps buying the Charmin, if you will. So.
Yeah, I think viral it works. But it's short term. If you're here for the long game, remember that, what was that app? And it was like a one-hit wonder. Yo, remember that?
Yeah, I remember Yo.
Yeah. I mean, it was the biggest thing. And, what happened to it?
Nobody knows.
Right.
Except, I suppose. I think it's still around. I think they've, but I don't know the name. I don't know anyone that uses it anymore. But yeah, you do have to go for the long game. You bring up a good subject too, because viral can be also good or bad for you. And what people are going to remember about you is the long ball.
Yeah.
Viral can be good in the case of who's that aftershave company who had the good looking guy and he'd do all the funny stuff in the videos.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name of it. It was my grandfather's aftershave, but they rebranded the brand because it was known as your grandfather's, cologne.
Old Spice or something?
Old Spice, yes, you got it. So in a case like that, viral is great, but they paid very heavily to make it viral.
Yeah.
But it did work. Their products flew off the shelves, and they were able to rebrand from your grandma's or your grandfather's, your grandma's. I don't know what your grandma's doing. She's wearing Old Spice in 1960. She might have had a little too much hair on her chest, but because that stuff was pretty nasty. My grandfather's cologne, an aftershave, the Old Spice, that was you could clear a room with that stuff. That stuff was pretty nasty. I don't know how anyone was ever attracted to any guy wearing Old Spice. But back then you didn't, back then you were just trying to survive. So I think the reason people got together is just so they wouldn't die helplessly and alone. Unlike now, you can live with your cell phone for the rest of your life and never have kids or breed. Evidently, that's what the millennials are doing.
Yep,
but viral can also be bad in the case of United. Yeah. And so wanting to go viral sometimes doesn't always work to your benefit. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people who still stick with United because of their long game of being in social media, delivering a good product probably most of the time. And, weighing that against, well, I've known them for 10 years and they've given me some good business, but they screwed up really bad once. So I went viral with it. But, it's that weight where people give balance to your credibility and your reputation and decide whether they want to still do business with you. And that's probably the survival. That's probably the only reason United is being able to survive that is because so many people have gone, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think in the case of United also, they have so many large corporate accounts. Yeah. And it's hard to get rid of that. Plus, we're creatures of habit. Yeah. And, Newark Airport over in New Jersey, that's their hub. So yeah. I'm sure a lot of people just keep on doing that, going, there, and it's the corporate account.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, there's a narrow selection of airlines you can fly.
Yeah.
Between the, where they've just made everybody become a monopoly. I believe most of the airlines are owned by 4 corporations. So you really don't have much choice either. If you wanted to, you're like, I'm not going to fly anymore. And then you're like, well, if you live in New Jersey, in your example, you're at the hub. So probably all the good flights come out of United. So, what can you do? But I'm sure that what we're talking about, the long game is really important to overcome your flubs and different mess ups that happen. And, trying to do what you can. But yeah, I really always think it's funny when someone says to me, well, we're going to take a break from building our, and this you can get this application. I use this term with my clients. What we're doing is we're building your online real estate. Yeah. And what you have to do is you have to think of this just like you would physical real estate for yourself, for your business. We are building and investing in your online real estate. And this is a property that you're going to be able to keep forever. Like you may pay me for a year, or 2 years, or 5 years. You may pay me for that time to build and invest and improve the quality and do improvements on your online real estate. But this is a property where if you play your game right, you're going to own this forever. You're going to own the audience that we put in forever, aside from attrition. And this is something that you're going to be building forever. Right. And it's going to be yours forever as long as you take care of it and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people, once they hear that, they kind of go, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense, that I'm building a real estate property, that this is an investment property, and you constantly have to be improving it. You constantly have to be fixing the toilets on Twitter. You guys, you know, your page. And so this is really important. This isn't something where you just go, oh, I just want to go viral and I just want to be real popular overnight.
And that's actually the frustrating part, because you look at some of these profiles on LinkedIn and everybody has social media down because they all think they, you know, can do social. You know, it's kind of like, and you know, when, I don't know how to say this without being sexist, but, you know, you have, you know, your friend's mother who makes wonderful brownies, and all of a sudden, because of all the food channels, she thinks she's going to be the next Tony Bourdain. Yeah. Because she makes amazing brownies.
Yeah, and people on Instagram are like, you make amazing brownies. And suddenly you're like, ah, I'm going to be Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like me. You can put a dress on me, but any other woman's going to look way better than me. That's just it. It's just a gift. I pulled that out of your sexist comment. I was like,
okay. But
you didn't really have to agree with me. I mean, for all you know, I really do look good in a dress. I've never tried, but I mean, there is, you know, possibility.
Yes, for sure.
Everybody at home's dry heaving like, oh, Chris Voss in dress. Don't put that image in your mind, or that will ruin your life. So yeah, I mean, New York, you've got. I mean, you guys. The nice thing about New York is you got sky high pricing for real estate. Some of the commissions are probably pretty good.
You know what? The commissions are good, but it really is a rat race. It's cut so much now that you really need churn. So let's say, you know, on and the disparities between, you know, let's say for a rental could go from $2,000 up to $500,000.
Sure.
It's like, it's insane, you know, and the commissions are great, but it's split among so many people.
Yeah,
you know, and
you want to make a sale and get a sale and they get paid, and
right,
if it goes through.
Yeah, and what I think a lot of customers don't understand is they think that, you know, on the rental side it's 15%. On the sales side, it could be anywhere from 3 to 6%. That's split between both brokers. First with the brokerages, then with the brokers. And then if there's anybody else working with you to help you along, then you have to break up that percentage. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, you really have to churn.
Yeah. And then you got, I mean, you guys have the wildest real estate market. I've watched all the pictures of, you know, people that have carved out living spaces in like closets and like things that, you know, when they first moved to New York, they're living in some, it looks like some squatter hell, you know. And I've seen the people, they're like, here's my kitchen, and it's like a Bunsen burner.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? And it's all true. When I first moved to New York, and actually there wasn't student housing for the Upper West Side, I went to Fordham University, and I went to the college at Lincoln Center, which is on 59th Street. Well, they didn't have, you know, housing for students at that time, so they rented a few floors on 79th and Amsterdam, which was kind of an SRO. So a few floors, you know, you had the students, then other floors, you had different characters who came in and out and who paid, you know, some by the hour, some by the day, whatever it was. Then there was this older guy who used to just walk around and he would just flash himself to everybody.
That's a benefit bonus, right? Isn't that added benefit to the real estate? Adds value.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the best lessons I learned from that is in my dorm room, I learned to smell dead mice because we were on top of a restaurant at that time. And, you know, you would hear, you know, just these noises at night. And my roommate and I are like, what the hell is this? Well, they're tiny little mice. So you had to go get the sticky things. And the RAs would give you the sticky things. Because, you know, yeah, it's a New York story.
Note to self, never move to freaky New York. Because I don't want to smell dead mice. Although, I don't know. Guys, you never know. You might learn some things from them.
All right. Well, that building now is like, you know, this ultra luxurious hotel. And I think part of it's a condo. So, you know, c'est la vie.
You know, the thing about guys flashing themselves to women, that was kind of like the prelude to social media, you know, where women now get pictures sent to them unsolicited. And so that was kind of like the analog. That was like the pre-digital analog.
Yes.
Dick pics, if you will. Thank God that it really only happens in New York. I've lived in LA and I've lived in Utah. I've lived in Vegas and I've never seen a flasher. But and I'm not opposed to any women that want to come over and flash me on my front door. It's all good in there.
Fine.
You can find my address on social media. I'll try not to be too offended. You know, it really sucks that the only time that people are showing nudity are the ugly guys that you don't want to see that from. Like I have to buy a subscription to Playboy if I want to see a hot chick flashing me. I don't know what that's about. It's comedic segue. So we're rounding out. What else do you want to share with us in the time we have left? We'll probably have to have you on further shows so we can delve more into your experience.
I would say that, you know, technology really is what's driving customers these days, and it's important to be where they are. It's all about content, and whatever you put out, it has to be, you know, really well thought out and curated, because otherwise you're just going to sound like 10 other people who are pushing out the same thing. But you want to...
Sorry to interrupt. Your comment, too, being where the customer's at, it's their mobile phone. Their mobile phone's in their hand. Their face is in it like this 24/7.
Exactly.
Be where customers are at.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, these days, it's really a direct communication between you and the customers. And you want to be where the customers are. And it's really imperative to be where the customers are and to try new things. On that note, I'm going to continue to do the videos and to push out my social media content. And anybody out there who is interested in buying, selling, renting an apartment in New York City or anywhere else, because Sotheby's were international, so I could get a referral for you anywhere, please feel free to contact me. My moniker is JoAnne, JK1, and that is on Facebook. That's on Instagram. I just launched a website called JoAnneKaoNYC.com, and it's really just images, because these days, I mean, Chris, it's pictures and videos. Nobody really reads that much.
Yeah, I don't think people can read anymore. I think they all went to public school with Betsy DeVos, and
And
no one takes the time to. They just don't take the time to really appreciate reading good material, because they can get so much of it audio. I don't know why I'm complaining on this, considering I'm doing a podcast on video. But yeah, you're right. And you have to also break up your brand, like with what you're doing. You've got to have some pictures of beauty that help sell stuff without being in your face going bye, 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 bye.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a real diversity. And I think people like people that are diverse in social media, where you're just not this one sort of push. Like, I'll have people that are like, I only do Twitter. And I'm like, you're missing a lot of audience. I don't do LinkedIn. You really should be on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised. But I go on there. There's been nothing there. You're doing it wrong. you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you being diverse and being across many of the successful platforms. I mean, I still post to Google Plus, namely for the SEO.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Instagram has become a really huge thing, and I think they're beating Snapchat, in my opinion.
They are. I think I read an article about that they're getting a lot more followers than Snap is.
Yeah, I see a lot more action over there now that basically Facebook is carbon copying them and eating their lunch.
Yeah.
I think that's showing in the recent investor 10Qs or 10Ks that they're taking and giving out to their investors on a quarterly basis as to the progress in subscribers. But yeah, it's cool what you're doing, and you're seeing business from it. You're seeing people that are coming out of nowhere. They're finding you on their phones, on the internet. And
yes, little by little. I mean, it's, it's a work in progress. And to your point, I'm constantly tweaking. You're tweaking this message, you're tweaking that message, you're tweaking your profile. You see something better, you add that to your message. And it's all the time. I mean, last night I went to bed at 3 o'clock because I had to, push out some images, and it's just like, oh my God. But,
you never know where the business is going to come from too. And that content lives forever.
Yeah.
I have videos from 2011, 2012 that people still watch on YouTube, still to this day. Like, I'll just be like, really? You're still watching iPhone 5 videos? But there's a huge group of people that are still buying those, the secondary market. There's a huge group of people that are still searching for stuff, and they like the keywords of the content. You just never know what's going to convert and how it's going to convert. But the important concept is to always be putting out new and fresh material so that, SEO, Google is keeping you at the top of the heap there in pages. And you just never know where it's going to come from next.
Yeah. And I'll close with, I gave up being embarrassed. I mean, you just have to try it. And once you get over that hurdle, I don't care. I just don't care, because nobody's going to remember except for me.
Yeah. And I think people love the human element. We were talking about this in a previous podcast today too, where you can put up a facade, you can put up these sort of pretentious PR barriers, and people can sniff that out. People can go, something about him that he has this facade, and I don't really think that's him. And they'll see glimpses of you and call it out in their own minds, to where if you're human, if you have flaws, if you have mistakes, that's part of the journey for me. And people see that you're human and that you're not afraid to share that about yourself, and they go, wow, this person's very self-actualized. They understand life, they understand failure. They're somebody that I'd like to invest with or work with, because I don't have to worry about finding out that there's somebody different later.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So I'm going to encourage my audience to follow JoAnne Kao on social media. If you're looking for New York real estate or real estate anywhere in the world, check her out. She's on Sotheby's. Is that the correct?
Sotheby's?
Sotheby's.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're going to move to New York, you probably want to call her, because it's a hard thing to move to that city, I think, isn't it?
It's a tough city. It's a tough city, and there are a lot of requirements. I mean, you have to, for let's say a $2,000 apartment, you need to show you have 40 times.
40 times?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I think I have 40 times the income of what I pay for here in Vegas. Crazy.
Yeah. So, there are a lot of nuances that, at least talk to somebody who can, tell you if this is legit or that's not legit.
Oh, and learning New York is like, you need a manual for learning New York. I mean, when I've been in New York, I mean, I'll try to talk to people. I'm like my chummy old self. People are just like, get out, whatever, dude. And I mean, you really have to navigate the lay of the land there with the culture and everything else of New Yorkians.
Well, next time you're in New York, We'll have to get together.
Sounds good. And look me up if you're ever in Las Vegas. That's the one thing I love about living here. Everyone eventually comes to Las Vegas for vacation. So there's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, JoAnne, thanks for tuning in and coming on the show. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Thanks for our audience on Periscope, which we've got over here, and Facebook Mentions Live over here. Thanks to our YouTube audience on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on youtube.com. Be sure to hit that bell notification button. Follow us on patreon.com/Chris Voss. So you can join up on the community in the show, be able to get a chance at winning some of the cool reviews that we do here. And like us, subscribe, hit the comment button, all that sort of good stuff. Thank you again, JoAnne.
Thank you, Chris.
Have fun there in New York. And if you ever walk by the Trump building, will you throw some rocks at it for me? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't do
I can't. I won't walk by the building.
I don't think you can with all that. There's probably so many protesters and police, and you probably can't even go near it.
It's so barricaded, but you know.
I feel sorry for the shops. I think Saks Fifth Avenue is over there or something. Aren't they?
You
like
know, a lot of the stores have been negatively impacted.
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah.
You're like, oh my god,
Sell
stuff. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming on. Have a great day and a great week, and we'll see you next time.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right.